Okay, so introducing David Calhoun. He is one of my expansion partners who is in San Diego, but he sells between Minneapolis and San Diego in 2 markets. He's completely built his business. He's been in business for 4 years, completely built his business on social media, no paid advertising. So, I've also built my business on social media mistakenly. I never was even on really Facebook or anything before I started real estate. But here's the thing. It's a free medium. And if you use it correctly, it's very, very, very powerful. So let's talk to you. David, hello.
Hello.
Thank you for being here. And thank you for sharing your tips and tricks, because there's not a lot of people, guys, like opening up and saying, hey, copy me, mimic me. So I love this. David's one of my EXP expansion partners. And what's kind of cool now with our relationship, we were both at Keller before, and all brokerages welcome. There's different, value propositions for every brokerage. But for us now, I think, David, don't you think it's cool? Because we collaborated and we saw each other on social before when we were at a different brokerage. But now that we're aligned, we are having conversations all the time because we're aligned. And he's like, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of cool now that we're partnered up, and EXP allows a platform for us to do that and truly help each other grow. It's just kind of a different format.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that we're not tied to a specific location. Like I could be, of course, in a different market and still taking things from what you're doing and, bouncing ideas off of you and people on your team. So, yeah, the platform of EXP has allowed me to do that. So yeah, it's really cool.
And let's all help each other grow. So that's the idea of we help our partners grow, and David and I do that. So thank you for sharing with everyone that we have on here. So let's start. Let's hear from you. So tell us, you've been in business for 4 years. Tell us just a little bit about how you've grown this and how you've used social media to grow your business.
Yeah, so I've been, I'm going to be 4 years this summer. And in the beginning, I started doing all the things, right, you're taught, like at my old brokerage. It's like door knock, you got to make 100 dials a day, you got to do the FSBOs. And so I did all that, and that's how I got started my first 6 months, which was great. But then I started posting some of those successes on Instagram and Facebook. And then it kind of got this like buy-in from my sphere. So I kind of went away from the cold stuff within the first 6 months of me getting licensed. And I started to get the buy-in from my sphere and my sphere's sphere. I mean, that's really where my business started to grow. It's not so much my sphere, it was my sphere where I got more and more referrals from them. So, at first it was Facebook. I mean, really heavy on Facebook. And within the last year or two, more like 2 years, it's really been heavily on Instagram specifically. So, I don't do paid ads. I don't chase people. I don't put Facebook ads. I'm not talking about like the ads, the home buyer seminars or anything like that, or even like new listing ads. I don't do any of that. It's literally just relationship building through social media.
And you take a lot of time. Like, as I know, people always ask me, well, how much time do you spend a day? I spend hours a day. I've been 6 years in business. I just hired somebody. Everyone doesn't need to hire someone. But it's, Gary Keller's book, The One Thing. What is your one thing? Our one thing is social media. Yours could be, dialing or door knocking or whatever it is. But David, you would absolutely say, and how long does it take to build up, that this is a platform that has absolutely mattered in growing your business?
Absolutely. I mean, I won't say it's the only thing I do, but it's because it feeds so many other things, right? Like it's the best relationship tool I can get in front of people, because I'm not saying this is bad things to do. It's probably should be doing them, but I'm not calling my sphere. I'm not sending, a quarterly newsletter kind of thing. Like I'm not doing any of that. It's just not who I am as a person. Like I won't do that. And so I found like, okay, what can I do to get in front of people consistently and genuinely that I will be able to do, and sustain me, right? Like what can I do consistently to stay in front of people that I will not burn out from doing after 6 weeks or 2 months, right? Because that's the problem I found with calling FISBOs and expireds and, you know, door knocking. Like, I hate that stuff and I'm not going to be consistent with it. So of course it's not going to work. And so I found like, I like social media. So it's going to be something I can be doing consistently, which of course is going to yield results.
You have to find it fun. You have to find a way what you're doing is fun. Otherwise, it's not sustainable. And I will say this, social media for me in the beginning, I am not a person who likes to do selfies and show my face. I know that probably, you know, I've learned to do that because it helps my business, but you got to find a way to be passionate about it too. Otherwise the longevity isn't there. So let's talk about what you're doing. Now let's talk about the platforms first. So you started with Facebook, and I think it's really interesting because it's demographic wise. I'm going to be 47 this month. David, you're younger than me, right? Like these platforms matter where your demographic is and who your people are, right? So talk about, you know, Facebook and Instagram, what you're using and what's working for you the most, and possibly too what you're not using.
Yeah. So yeah, it originally started with Facebook more for me. I didn't really understand Instagram I mean, this was 3-4 years ago. I just didn't really understand Instagram. I didn't have a huge following on Instagram. I felt like I had a lot of followers and friends on Facebook. So I was posting on Facebook, but then like my wife kind of introduced me to Instagram a few years ago, and I started getting more comfortable with it. And basically I share, like, Instagram is where I post everything, and then it's linked to Facebook, right? Like I have it shared, and they're different audiences, right? Instagram is much younger, more engaging. I found like they engage more with me. Facebook, it's my older audience, but it's maybe like my parents' friends and things like that. So of course they are possibly prospects too. So I share both, but I find my engagement is much less on Facebook, especially now within the last even 6 months, like really, really low engagement. So I don't share a ton there. I don't do a ton on LinkedIn. That's definitely an opportunity for me, but I don't do a ton. I don't get a lot of engagement. And so I don't do a ton there. I'm not on TikTok. It's really just Instagram that shares to Facebook. And, you know, the reason I do that is because, you know, if we're on TikTok and we're on LinkedIn and we're on Facebook and we're on Instagram, like these algorithms are so hard to understand. Some of these platforms like are so complex and they're changing the second you finally understand it. And so I wanted to get good at something. And I've just found like Instagram is where I wanted to spend a lot of time because I get a lot of results there. So that's why I focus mainly on Instagram. And then I still touch on Facebook just because it shares automatically. So I do the Facebook stories because I post on Instagram. So that's
But
really.
I love that for everyone listening, because for social media it can be really overwhelming to people. And it's crazy to me, the conversations I've had recently. I just had a conversation with somebody the other day who's doing like 15 million plus a year. Actually, I think she was doing 20 plus, agent for over 10 years. Some of these people aren't using social media and you don't know where to start. They want to do it, but they don't know where to start, and it feels overwhelming. And what you just said, I think, is the best takeaway. And again, I will say, what is the one place that you want to own? Again, the one thing, if you're going to own social media, what is the one place? And for David, it's Instagram. So you can really commit to one platform and make a difference. Now, I like the idea. Instagram allows you, and Facebook also allows you to share from Instagram to Facebook. And I think that just keeps you on there. I think that's smart to do. And so, but I think the biggest takeaway is you don't need to do everything. Take one or two things, pick your platforms that your people are on and that, you know, you're excited about, and own them and show up all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I will say it's interesting because, okay, so my demographic is on Facebook, but I love Instagram. Instagram's so fun. So I have to make sure that I constantly show up on Facebook. And I'd say more and more people my age are more on Instagram. I like that. I just think Instagram, it's just fun. I like stories. They go away after 24 hours. I like that format. But I will say too, like for me, and it's so funny, you younger ones are like LinkedIn, whatever. Like LinkedIn, I make sure I show up on LinkedIn 3 times a week. It keeps me relevant. There's a lot of people, like if I meet at open houses or I meet people, that I'm not going to like friend them on Facebook because that's like creepsterish, right? But I can LinkedIn them. So I find it something that is worth my time doing. But again, I think the point is that you can pick one platform and do it really, really well and make a difference. Hold on. Hey, talk about reels. Weren't you doing reels?
I am. Yeah. So part of Instagram, right, is part of my strategy on Instagram is to grow an audience, to just stay top of mind. Really, that's really what I'm using Instagram for. It's just to stay top of mind. And so, Instagram's an algorithm. They want you to spend time on their platform. So I've made a point to utilize everything Instagram has for you, right? So the feed, the stories, and the reels specifically. I've done IG, I don't know, TV or whatever it is. I can't spend that much time doing that one, but I've really just focused a lot on reels because that's been the trending thing. And so it's just to stay top of mind, but yeah, it's, I get business from it, right? Doing reels. And yeah, so that's one of the things that Instagram will track to make sure, the more people are looking at your profile, the more they show it, and the more, you spend time on the platform. It's all an algorithm. So you want to make sure you're utilizing what they're putting out there for you.
So if you're going to pick one platform and you're going to pick Instagram, I love that you're like you're trying to do all the things. You're not doing Instagram TV, but you're using reels, you're using all the things on that platform, and that's why it's working for him. Someone else might choose, I'm going to do these three and I'm going to be on LinkedIn, Facebook, or whatever your three are. And maybe you're just going to hit the surface. That could be a strategy too, but I really like how you're doing one platform, very committed, very well. And are you getting business from it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I I live in San Diego, right? So all my business, a lot of my business, I've been here a year, so I haven't been here that long. And when I left Minnesota to come here, I thought like, oh, I'm shutting down the doors here in Minnesota. Like I'm never going to sell a house here again. And it was like my business like didn't even slow down at all. I did more volume last year living here in Minnesota, than I did when I was living in Minnesota. So, and that's all through social media. Seriously, it's people know me, they like me. Hopefully they like me, they trust me, they call me to sell their house or buy a house. And they know I don't live there. They know I live here. Getting a DM saying, hey, David, we know you live in San Diego, but we were referred to you by so-and-so. We know you have a team here. Can you help us? Like that's valuable. So yeah, I absolutely get business from it.
How cool that you can use this as a platform to sell in two markets, build a team in two markets to duplicate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's brilliant. And I love another thing that you said is, people figure out if they like you.
Mm-hmm.
Or not. Like you save time, you're real, you're showing yourself. It's been hard for me to like learn that. I learned that from Taya and all you younger peeps who put yourselves out there, because I was like always scared to do that. But people do want to know and like you. And I think a lot of times for these listing presentations, we go, if you're on social media and they already know, they feel like they know us. They
Mm-hmm.
feel like, and great, because then they either like us or we don't get to the table when you're busy. It's like, if I didn't get to the table, if they don't like me, then they didn't ask me anyways, that's fine. So I think it's a brilliant platform to do that too. Let's talk about two things. Let's talk about how long does it take for this to build up and be something that is effective? Is it overnight?
It's not overnight, of course, right? Like anything in real estate is not overnight. It can be overnight, right? Like it's kind of like doing one open house. You might find one buyer, you could. You might get a seller at that open house, but like we all know it's the consistency over time that generates results. So don't go into it thinking like, okay, I posted my one post this week and like, where's all my business? That's just not how it is. It's like pennies in a bucket, right? Like deposit, 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 adding value, adding value, adding value. And then eventually that bucket falls over and you've got business. So it could take, a year, it could take 3 months, it could take 2 years. Just depends on how consistent you are. And yeah, I started reels like last summer, right? And it was like my fourth reel, and it was a terrible reel. It was like a new construction like tour, like terrible, like not terrible. and I got a buyer off of it here, right? Like, so you never know, I think I've had 1,200 or 1,700 views on that specific reel, even to this day. So it's not like this, blew up kind of thing, but like I got a $1.67 million buyer from it. Literally, like we're looking right now, we've written offers. So it's hard to say, how long does it take? You got to go in it with the right mindset, knowing it's the consistency over time that's going to generate results. It's not post once a week or once a day and then you're going to get results immediately. It's just not how it works.
Yeah, you have to think long term on it. One thing that I always say is there's a lot of things, whether you're a new agent or you're just starting social media, that you'll do in the beginning that make you no money. It makes you no money, but it'll pay off later. That's one of these things. Like, you need to be consistent and have an approach, and you need to, like, for me, like, I don't know, somebody who starts on social media, I want to see over time that they're consistent, that they're truly selling homes, that they're truly adding value. We'll talk about your tips and tricks in a sec, but it's not always overnight. It took me, and this is why I'm pretty passionate about real estate or about social media, and I do more trainings on it, because mistakenly, that's how I grew my business when I was never on social media to begin with. It was a free medium. So I was like, well, shoot, I don't have any money. I can't do paid ads. I'm not competing with all the agents buying Zillow leads. So how can I do this? So I just think, and different people are doing, I will say one thing. I have an agent on my team, Sarah. She came over to us last September. She was an agent for 10 plus years. And she was on a team where doing social media for her wasn't really beneficial because she wasn't paid at a higher rate. And so she was on a team that just gave leads. It was just different. So she was not rewarded for bringing in her own. She had no reason to build up a social media profile. Now with me, our platform is totally different. So she has taken, like, literally now it's been months. It's only been months and she is already getting leads. Now she's adding value. She's an agent who knows what she's talking about, but she's showing up consistently. So it depends. It depends. Like, if you are an agent who's been selling for 10 years, 5 years, and you know your stuff and you're not on social yet, get on social to get more business. I guess it's all different of how long it takes, but I would mentally prepare for it's a long time. It's a long-term strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do your own, or do you do any paid? Does anyone do your social for you?
No, I do it all. I don't hire that out because I want it to be authentic. I want it to be genuine. A lot of my stuff I'm posting is just day in the life kind of stuff. It's on the fly. And so I didn't want to lose that realness, so to speak, of having some person start posting for me. I think that's the mistakes a lot of agents do. It's like, I got to hire this out. And then they lose that personal touch that really makes this social media platform so engaging and real. Because it ends up being like, just sold, just listed, just sold, just listed. And, at the end of the day, no one cares.
Yeah, no one really cares, right? No one really cares. Even though we post it and I promote my houses, that's not what people care about.
No, absolutely. You have to post that because you have to be credible, right? Like, if you look at my Instagram profile, I have it just listed, just sold, but it's not the only thing. I think the mistake people do is like, that's the only thing in their feed, right? If you go to walking billboard of like how great I am, and people want to see, who are you as a person? Can I, do I relate to you? Do I like you? Can I trust you?
And I think there's some sort of happy medium, because if you are a realtor and you're just always promoting yourself, I'm like, are you even doing any business? Mm-hmm. Are you doing any business at all? So I think there's a happy medium to doing that. But yeah. I love that. I think a big lesson is, okay, so when I started, I hated social media. I was like, I used to be a wedding photographer. I didn't do any social media. And I was like, I'm not doing it. But then obviously I changed business and I had to do something else. So I hired somebody to do my social, and it never, ever, ever took off like it did when I did my own. So I think that's a huge takeaway, David. But guys, I learned from hating it, not wanting to do it, to, yeah, this is fun. I like it. And you got to figure out what that vibe is. For me, I love showing trends. I've learned to like just showing up and doing video, actually. It's kind of funny, but like all that stuff like has just mattered for people to get to know you. And so anyways, I think that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing, is like, you have to show up, you have to show your face, you have to speak, you have to, like, people need to hear you talk, because that's really when they get to learn who you are. And no one cares what you look like, what you sound like. That's how you look and sound, guys. Like, sorry, I hate to tell you that, but that's how you look like, and that's how you sound in real life. So get over it. But that's the quickest way to build a connection, is to turn your phone around and talk, right? And you can talk, I talk about the market because then it gives you credibility, right? And so, yeah, that's super important. You see too many things where it's like, people follow me. I literally have no idea what they look like. They've been following me for a year or two. It's like, they don't have any pictures of themselves. They don't ever talk. I have no idea who you are, and so showing your face and talking in front of the camera, that's absolutely important.
I think it's so important. And a new thing that we're doing that I've learned recently at the trainings I've been going to is everyone does these home tours. Like, this is your new listing and it's pretty and it's professional and you never show up in it.
Mm-hmm.
And David, it was the one in San Diego. Remember, I wanted to meet you or whatever, but this guy was absolutely all about being in all of them. And it wasn't like this. Hi, I'm Kelly Brown. Welcome to 123 Main Street, where this is a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom home, la, la, la. It was not that. It was so candid and fun. And he showed up and he showed the kitchen and it was just different. And it really, really stood out. So that's something for me this year that we're doing a lot more of. I got to get comfortable with that. But it's showing up in your stuff. I think that's huge, and getting comfortable with it. And just like you said, people want real. People want real. They want candid. You F up what you say, put it on there anyway. But here's the deal. Like, you can take a million different videos. I used to do it. Now I've gotten more comfortable with it, but not only that, I don't have time. So if I'm doing a video, like yesterday, I posted one to brand this. I was just done with the listing presentation. I had 2 minutes. I don't have time. Either it's going to work right now and I'm going to post it. Otherwise, I don't put anything on. So you will get more comfortable about it. But the brilliant thing in the beginning, guys, is you can take 80 videos of yourself and then post the one. You'll get more and more and more comfortable. Just start doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about, okay, so I know we have some questions. I want to peek at those in a sec, but let's talk about, you have 4, and I want to dive into those tips and tricks and your takeaways with social media. Let's talk through those. Even if we touched on them already, let's just talk through those bulleted points that you gave me. I love those. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So, like we said earlier, it's going to take time, right? Like, it's not this thing where it's this overnight success. Like, the second you start posting on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or whatever, like, you're going to get instant results. You just have to go in with that mindset. Like, it's kind of like old school farming a neighborhood. You don't mail out 1,000 mailers and all of a sudden get like a listing. Well, you can, right? It has happened, but unlikely. So just know, like, okay, it's a consistency thing. You've got to be consistent, and then the results will follow. Second thing I would say is clean up your profile. And I'm talking about Instagram specifically. So, professional headshot, have your face in there. Don't have a picture of like a sunset or something random. Like, have your face in there. And something real estate related in your bio, right? Like, people should know if they go to your Instagram that you're a real estate agent. Make your bio clean and concise. So like bullet points if you like that, but like, don't do full on sentences and everything like that. Like, no one's going to read that. Like, just have some bullet points, maybe awards or something like that. So people know, like, they go to your Instagram page, you're a successful agent, maybe the market you sell in, things like that. But yeah, you just want to, like, it's personal branding, right? So you want to have your face in there. You want to be professional. So that's what I would say. Like, sometimes I think people, they don't show their face in their Instagram profile or their bio. And yeah, you want your face, right? You're your brand. So
I like that. And I want to say one thing that I learned recently from a training too, that image that you have on your Instagram, it should be the same image on everything, on every platform, everything, everywhere, whatever you're on, Zillow, the MLS, whatever you're on, it's the same image every time. For us, we brand with an aqua blue background. Make sure it's the same image every time.
Yes, super important. Yep, it should be the same on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, all of that. So
And Google yourself, guys. Google yourself, see where you show up. You're showing up on Zillow, you're showing up on Realtor.com, HomeSnap, wherever it is, it's the same image every time.
Yep. So yeah, number one, it's going to take time. Clean up your profile. Third thing I would say is we touched on it too, is you've got to be consistent. So, I'm very consistent with stories specifically, and that's really where I engage with people. I'm posting to stories on Instagram every couple hours usually. So, you've got to be posting multiple times a day, because, the more you post, you go to the front of the feed, right? So you don't want to post once in your stories, a day, because you're going to get buried. So it's consistently every single day, every couple hours, depending on what you're doing that day. And be authentic in that. So, show the good, show the bad, but a lot of people just I found a lot of people like just seeing the day in the life kind of stuff of agents, right? Like that's why there's so many realtor shows. I mean, selling Tampa, selling Sunset, HGTV, all these things. Like people love this industry. People love houses. People love trends. People are curious about what this industry is like. And so if you can take people along with you every single day, and I do that through stories, I found I get a lot of engagement, right? And so, and you don't just want to be posting like random things. Like I post things that are interactive, whether it's a poll, like, do you like this house? Do you like this? Would you live in this neighborhood? Would you not? And so, that's the other thing, is you want to be posting things that would generate a response or allow an opportunity for a conversation to happen.
That's a good one that he just said. So you can post things on like stories, pick 1, 2, 3, say yes or no, or whatever that is. When people answer those questions and engage with you, you're getting higher in the algorithm. So consider when you're doing stories, doing more things like that, or asking a question, maybe they message you below, but more engagement like that is going to help you rank higher.
Yes, absolutely. And then who's like really paying attention, right, to your stories and things like that. So,
and it's fun because all of a sudden you're like, hey, what do you think this sold for when a property closes? You think it sold for $1 million, $1.5 million? What do you think it's? And you're like, ooh, I'm kind of curious. Am I going to get it right? And then you do it and you're like, ooh, bam, you won. Like, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. People love it, right? Like, and that's, yeah, I mean, you're trying to just stay top of mind, right? Gain mind share, gain mind share, gain mind share. And you don't want to just be posting just listed like in my stories, right? Like you want to be doing cool things like a trend. If I see a brand new remodel or something, I'll go tour that house and basically take my followers along with me to get their ideas on things. Do you like this kitchen? What do you think of these floors? Would you live here? Do you like these lights? I mean, it's just random stuff, but I get so much engagement from things like that. So, so that's what I would say about stories. I'm posting, I would just say, like, for my feed, right? You got stories and then you've got Instagram feed. I'm posting on my feed a few times a week. I'm not as consistent with that. I probably do maybe 3 to 4 times a week on my feed. And that's things you don't want to go away ever, right? So your stories, it goes for 24 hours. So in there, I can be a little bit more real, not maybe as polished, because I know in 24 hours it's going to be gone, right? Of course you don't want to be like off brand, so to speak, but yeah, like it doesn't have to be so polished and shiny and perfect in stories. My feed, I'm a little bit more, cognizant of that and what's going on. So
I know, but it's interesting because you do that and you're sitting on the couch and then Gabby's over there, his wife's over there, kids are over here. You're like chaos outside or whatever, but it's like real and it's very relatable. And you're like, okay, you're polished here, but oh, he has a cool reel. Now you're probably not showing some other stuff, but you're selective about that, but it's very real and it makes people really engage and really like you and feel like they know you.
yeah, because like, I mean, yeah, no one wants to just follow, like, you're only a realtor. I mean, all of us have lives outside of this business. And so if you can let someone into that, I mean, it's such a relational business, right? Like at the end of the day, this is a relationship driven business. And, if you can let people into certain other aspects of your life, and you have to decide what that looks like for you and your family and what we're comfortable with. But I found the more real I am, the more engagement, the more connection I can build with my audience. So, and I do that through stories, right? Because again, that goes away in 24 hours. I'm not going to post my meal prep on my feed or something like that, right? Like no one needs to see that in 3 months or 6 months. Like no one cares. So, I just post quick things about my personal life in stories because it's going to go away.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it a lot. And I would just say one thing that you said is some of you guys might be like, well, I don't want to post personal. That makes me uncomfortable. Like, be selective, and you have to decide in your life what you want and have parameters about it, because I do. There's a lot of and there was a quote I read recently that was something about, I loved it because it was like, people who, engage on social and do a ton on social, they have a whole nother life that you don't know about. And I feel like that's a little bit like me. Like there's, I have a whole personal life. Some of it I start posting, and I find it funny. Like Brian and I have dated for over a year now, and I'll post some things, like we just went skiing. I post some, and that gets so much engagement. And I'm like, oh, but I protect that too. It's important for me not to have a complete life that's all about social media. I also have 2 boys. One of them's more comfortable being on it. The other one does not want to be on. And I respect that. I need to respect that. So you can have boundaries around what you're posting and what you're allowing in for personal. But then maybe you're just allowing some other stuff. Maybe it actually is meal prep. Maybe you're a busy mom and you're like, how the hell am I going to feed my kids today? And you're like, okay, this is my meal prep and it actually is. So you can decide what personal that you want to let in. And I thought that was a really good point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you get to decide how much of your life you want to share. Yeah, but I would say like let people into your personal life so they know you're someone outside of a busy real estate agent, right? Because that's the stuff that really builds engagement, builds trust, builds rapport, and then you're the one that they call.
Yep.
So the other thing I would just say is like when someone DMs you, like respond back, right? Like that's the thing. Instagram is it's an algorithm, right? Like, so they want to know, like, are you using that? When someone messages you, message them back. Don't just like heart it or whatever. I mean, heart it, but then message them back. So engage with the people who are commenting on posts, who engage with your story, who DM you, things like that. So make sure you're not overlooking that.
And not even just for an algorithm, but if you spend time on a social media platform, engage with your audience authentically. Yes, you're liking it. I'm guilty of that. I do a lot of hearts, but if you can take time and even set aside, maybe you're doing, if this is your one thing, if you're committed to it, you're spending a half hour a day getting back to people and doing stuff like that. Like it's important to do that too and be authentic about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Show your face. We talked about that. So turn your camera around. You've got to talk, right? So people want to see your face. They want to hear your voice. It builds rapport. They get to know you. So a lot of times I will do in my stories, like I post a ton in my stories. So I use that. I use stories and video in my stories to talk about the market. And that's really where I try to gain credibility with my followers. But yeah, that's really where you can people will learn who you are, and it's showing your face, talking, showing that you know what you're talking about through real estate. So do not be afraid to show your face. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people make is they never turn the camera around. They're never talking about the market or a scenario or a buyer, a buyer client you had that won multiple offers and how you did it. Things like that. Like we all come across those scenarios every single day where turn the camera on, you have 60 seconds or less to talk about what you did. And, it just builds trust.
I love that. And let's talk about this for 1 second as far as video, because there's somebody on here. Lydia, thanks for being real. She says, I hate being in front of the camera. It's hard to change that mindset. I'm 60 years old and very critical of myself. All of us women, especially, all are. So I'm going to do I do stuff on video. I'm going to do another one on tips and tricks of video separately. But I just want to say this for everyone. Figure out how you feel comfortable and do it. So there's little tips and tricks. Okay. So right now, my lighting is like everything to make me look a little better and feel more comfortable. If I change this lighting around, guys, look how much older I look. Look, it just does not look as good, right? So you can nail some typical things to change that to make you feel better. Yes, there's filters. I don't love the like, oh, you got stars and, like craziness. But if there's a filter that makes you feel better, guilty, do it all the time. I'm sure people see me and then they're like, oh, that's what you look like in person. Okay, so I don't do it a lot, but I do it. It makes me feel comfortable. There's one, it's Clear Video that I use a lot if anyone wants to know that. Oh, Facetune, Clear Video, something goofy happened. We had to delete it the other day, but Facetune Video is one where I drag it in. I do a little bit of the clarity. It makes me feel more comfortable. So for those of you who aren't comfortable, find something that's quick though, because if it's not quick, you're not going to do it and you're going to lose track of it. I know a lot of people do it right on Instagram and I don't, but there's an Instagram, the filter is already there. So it just smooths skin a little bit. So figure out what your thing is, get comfortable and just do it. And I relate to you. I mean, you say you're 60, I'm 47. Like, I mean, there's things I'm critical of, my tech neck, all the things, like, we're all critical, especially as women, but we all, David, you said it before, like people see you are who you are. People want to know you and your personality. So get over yourself and just show up.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't be afraid to use a filter, right? If that makes you feel better and that gets you on camera consistently, like use the filter. I mean, like if that's the hurdle, there's tons of filters out there that you can use and make you feel comfortable. So
in my system really
don't
quick
let that stop you from.
No, but like a lot of these videos, if I can be candid, like, oh, yesterday, oh, by the way, like on Insta stories, I swipe one time and it goes to Paris. And that just was a little bit nicer. And then I'm done on Insta stories. But if I post it elsewhere, I do use this Facetune. Can you see that bottom one? That I use, and I'll just video. So I video myself, put into Facetune quick, and then it's done. So you got to find a process that's quick for you. Okay, enough on that.
Okay, so, and then I just talked about like being consistent with your stories, reels, it's all about being consistent. So posting 2 stories every couple hours. I've been on a reel, like 5 to 6 reels a week now for the last like 40 days. And again, it's all to gain mind share and gain credibility. And it's really just to make people either laugh or just engage with me on Instagram. So yeah, just be consistent with that. The 4th thing I would add is just make sure you're adding value, right? Like add value. And that value can be comedic relief for people, right? Like don't think just because you're, you're being funny, you're sharing a meme, like that's not adding value. I mean, people like that stuff. I mean, I follow the Broke Agent on Instagram. A lot of their stuff is really funny, or Actually Agents on Instagram, super funny stuff. Sometimes sharing that is just, people love that. People engage with that, realtors or not. So, but sometimes you can be talking about the market, right? And that's where I get in front of the camera and talk about what's happening in the market. Are foreclosures coming? I mean, I've talked about that before. Just 60 seconds or less, trying to add value to my audience.
I think this is really good. And there was a question a second ago too of, let's see, where was it? But it was about value. I just want to talk about that. I can't remember what it said, but it's like, some people that you don't know what to post, right? For me, trends are super fun. Like somebody might not be buying a house, but people always want to know about trends. They think it's fun. David, you just talked about going through like a remodel. Do you like this? Do you like people always want to see that. So a couple takeaways from what you're saying, and please add on, but the value in what you post, like for me, I'm just always trying to add some sort of value. Maybe it's a little bit about my life, but what would somebody really find interesting? Right now, the market's insane. So to talk about the market, how you want an offer, like just to be relevant, and also to watch and see what's getting engaged with, and how many likes. I mean, you're like, oh, that got 84 likes, this got 22, like, oh, maybe I do more of that. But what would you say for the people who don't know what to post? What are the things, like, I like that you said comic relief and random things. What would you say to those people who don't know what to post?
Well, I would just think about like certain scenarios you have with buyers, right? Or like certain stories, or what's the question you're getting asked a lot with buyers? Just turn your camera around and do a 45-second blurb on that. Like, what do you, why is it important to get a pre-approval done first before looking at houses? Or how did you get your offer accepted on this multiple offer scenario? What beautiful house are you showing this morning? I mean, like there's a million different things you can post. And I'm talking like stories specifically here, because again, that's where I post a lot. But like that's really, you just think about your day. Think about, letting people come into that a little bit. What are you doing today? Post that stuff, right? Like I said, people love this industry. People are curious about this industry. And so like letting people come in and see what it's actually like to be a busy real estate agent, it's going to resonate with your audience. And so the last thing I would say is it's going to take time for you to find out what that actually is that resonates with your audience, right? Like it takes time, a while to find out what does your following engage with, what do they really like. I mean, so every Friday I do house hunters where I post, 2 houses in the Twin Cities and like similar price point and let people vote on that. That is by far the most popular like engagement I get on my Instagram. And it just became a thing, right? And so finally, I'm consistent with that now. Every single Friday, I'm doing that. It takes me a long time to do that, but I get so much engagement off of it. So, the more you post, the more you find out what people like. And so, you won't know it until you start posting.
But that's and we always see those. So David posts every Friday, you say, and it's 2 different houses and you can vote on things. But here's the thing, that probably wasn't overnight for you. Now people know, now people expect it. What could you do? Like if you're somebody who you don't want to do that, but maybe you do market updates every whatever, maybe you do something consistently a certain day of the week. And you're so you could do something like that too. But the brilliant thing about that is you're being consistent. It probably wasn't overnight that everyone started following you, but now people are expecting it. They follow along and it's super fun.
Mm-hmm. And like even in person, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I love that house!" Like on Sunday morning, like they're like, "Oh, I love that house," right? Like I like this, and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" I mean, people really love that stuff, and so yeah, you just got to find like what can you do consistently where people will engage and they almost like miss it, because there's been times where it's like I'm not doing it, like I'm too busy. And like people are like, "Where's house hunters?" And so people kind of expect it. So yeah, it does take time to find out what it is that resonates with your audience, but just start posting things and start doing polls and see, what type of engagement you get. I mean, I think I did one yesterday. I was showing a house here in Oceanside, and I just did a quick video of the neighbor, like, would you live here or not, right? Like I was literally driving with my hand out the window. Yes, no. I mean, you get like 150 votes on that. I mean, that's excellent engagement just to stay top of mind with people. So
I think that's so good. And for some of you agents who aren't busy yet, there are plenty of things that you can do every day to engage yourself in real estate. And I say this to my team all the time. If you're not a busy listing agent, if you're not like, there's so many things that you can do. Model homes. Like you just said, driving through a neighborhood, there's so many things that you could do to make yourself look like an expert, to be an expert, to dive into real estate. And another point that you said before is we are really fortunate, guys. This is a pretty fun business. It's not like a lot of people in other things are like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know, you're a this, like, that's so interesting. Can I hear more?" Like people want to know about trends. They want to know about the market. So it's fun. It's fun to be able to, be in an industry where people want to know things like that. Okay. A couple more questions before we go that I want to ask. And I see people asking. So as far as platforms go, do you have a separate for Instagram and Facebook, personal and business, or what is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I do not have actually I think I might have a business real Instagram, but I probably haven't done anything on that for like 3 years or 4 years maybe. Personal Instagram that's branded to real estate. And then personal Facebook. I do have a business Facebook page. I don't think I posted anything on there for like 2 years. And so I don't do the 2 things, because at the end of the day, it's a relationship business. And, if you want people to come in with you on this ride, so to speak, like I didn't want it to just be only real estate, right? Like only real estate. I wanted to be highly relational, highly engaging. And at the end of the day, like I don't have time to be managing and logging in and out of all these different like profiles. I don't have time for that. So I just found to keep it personal. And I will say, like I've kind of just come to the resolve that like these are really meant for growing my business. So there are things like I will not engage in on social media and I will not post on social media because I use these really to engage and grow my business. So I don't do the two profile thing though.
Yeah, and it's a lot to manage. And I will say for me, we're a little bit different in how, okay, so my Instagram is my Instagram business. I do have a personal Instagram, never use it. So it's almost like that just is. It's my personal business and that's what it is. And as far as Facebook goes, I do have two. I have a business and a personal. I post all the time in my business. I have to remember to post in my personal. I don't mix a lot of coming soons and things business wise in my personal. That's just me. I don't, but every once in a while I'll post like me and the girls were just in Cabo on a training. I was just in San Diego with some people. I might post some stuff like that. That's a little bit different. But I have to remind myself to show up personally on stuff, specifically Facebook, but that's how I do it. And I think you just really have to choose how you're going to do it and own it. Some people do both. However you're going to do it, just figure it out. But it takes a lot more time to manage so many different platforms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think the one problem I have with just having like a business Instagram and a personal Instagram, like your business Instagram just becomes more like just sold, just listed, and not as engaging. And so I think for me, naturally, it was easier to make it personal with a heavy real estate flavor in it, so to speak. So and that's where I found to get really good engagement because it's personal and it's business and I'm credible and things like that. So, but there's no right or wrong. It's just what are you most comfortable with, and then what can you be consistent with?
Yep. Okay, so my last question, unless you have anything else, and then I'll open it up for a few questions. But my last question is, you have a lot of followers. You have 8,300 followers on Instagram. Obviously, you spend a lot of time doing this and you've grown it. You've grown it. Do you need 5,000 followers to make it? Do you need a ton of followers to make a difference and to get business from
No,
social media?
no, like I don't even, I started doing reels, right? Like a reel a day for like 30 days. And now I've kind of done maybe like 5 or 6 a week. That's where I've got all these like random new followers the last like month or two. But prior to this year, I had 2,000, 2,500. I mean, not a ton of followers, but like actual real followers. So no, you don't need a bunch of followers. Of course, the more genuine, true followers you have, the better your results will be probably. But no, you don't need 10,000 followers in order to get business from it. No.
I've learned that. I've learned over time, like, oh, I want more, I want more, I want more. It is quality over quantity. You could have 1,000 followers and get business from it and have someone say, oh, I've been following you and I know so-and-so is going to tell, I told Susie to give you a call.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be, if you're new to social media, you have 8,000 followers. I have around 6,000 now, but I have just learned over time, you could have 2,000, you could have 1,500, build it up authentically. And that's another thing too, for doing it yourself versus hiring somebody. I hired somebody a long time ago. I had followers from all over, like Europe, Poland. I was like, I need people that are right here engaging with me. So that's another reason why to do it yourself and be authentic too. But you do not need 1 million followers to use this as a platform to get business.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree. And don't pay for someone to like get you followers.
No.
Literally, it's the worst type of followers. Like, be authentic, grow it slow, grow it organically. Because yeah, like you want it doesn't matter if you have 10,000 followers that like live in Asia. Like, I mean, that's usually where all these people are, followers are from. And they're not even real followers. Like, just grow it organically. Do the local hashtags. Like, find out that tag places you're in, gain followers that way.
Yep, love it. Okay, so anything else you want to add before we open it up to a few questions?
No.
So helpful, so helpful. And think of some questions, guys, and unmute yourself in a second. We will continue to do trainings like this. Some of this will go on my public YouTube, but a lot of it is private. So if you are one of our partners and you want our private link where I'm storing these, let me know and I will give that to you. And who does anyone want to ask any questions before we let David off here to sell more homes?
Hey, David, I have a question. So I've been doing reels for about 3 months now, and I sometimes can't find the, sorry, sometimes can't find the type of, recording from a video or music that I can't find it on like TikTok or Instagram Reels. So I kind of create my own. So I like record it on my phone, but I'm not seeing as much engagement from those type of videos because I'm creating it myself. Do you find that yourself, or do you find most success finding old sound bites that's been used previously that you get more action,
Yeah.
I guess?
I don't do any reels where I'm recording my voice, like my voiceover or anything like that. Like I will find, not always, but sometimes it helps to have a trending audio. That's not always like a guarantee that your reel is going to just like take off. But like, yeah, I will never do a reel that is just me talking. Like I will find some sort of sound bite or music that, I found while scrolling on reels. I'll save that and then do a reel that, that is relevant to real estate. I won't do anything that it's just me talking. Yeah, I've never done that.
Okay, like, cause yeah, I did one on The Bachelor, but I couldn't find any sound bites, but I thought, there was a really good recording on like The Bachelor, but cause I don't do any recording for my own voice, but it's just trying to find something like, I'm watching a video right now or a movie right now. Hey, that would be a great sound bite, but I can't find it anywhere. And so that's why I create, but yeah, I'm not finding much success with getting many views as I am with using old sound bites. And yeah.
Got it. Yeah, no, I only use what's out there for me. I don't even know how to record a soundbite on Instagram.
I don't know either.
So yeah, I just scroll, and if there's something I like that I think I can make real estate related, like I'll just save it and do my reel on there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
a couple other questions I'm reading here. What do you do with the creeper followers who clearly are there? Do you block them? For me, a lot of times in my Instagram, there's like a section where I don't know how it gets there, but I can accept or decline them. Do you want to pay for followers? I get that a lot. Or creepers. Yes, I do. I do block people every once in a while, and I don't allow that kind of stuff. Okay, David, really quick. Do you do any paid stuff to boost?
Nope.
Okay, I do on my listings for coming soon properties. I just wrote that down as another training I will do, how I do that on Instagram and Facebook. We do them not to gain followers, but to gain momentum for our coming soon properties. And there's definitely a strategy to do that, whether it's boosting or running ads. We definitely do that. So I am going to wrap up. David, thank you so much for your time. That was so valuable. And we'll talk later, okay?
All right.